all the technical work. So we love you. Um,
The live
love it.
live stream is on now. Walid has just
Excellent,
posted.
excellent, excellent. Thank you, Walid. Um, so yes, I hadn't heard back from Samai just yet, but like I said, she's got small children, so that often makes plans go somewhat awry. However, we've got six fantastic storytellers for you here today, and this is the October personal story swap. So this is only about personal stories, true first person stories. This was started by Niharika Agarwal while we were all in Marrakesh in January, and we've been doing it monthly so far. Though we might be skipping November because there's quite a lot of difficult schedules in November. So we'll see how that goes. Before we get started, there's a couple of bits of housekeeping. Number one, please, can everyone mute your audio except for the person who's telling, and we'll give you a minute to unmute before you get started. Use the chat function for feedback as well, please. It helps us to keep things nice and tight and not get off topic. Leave your video on if you can, if you're watching. If you could leave your video on, that would be really awesome. Because then the storyteller has somebody to react to and see all of your reactions and things like that. If you can't, that's okay too. And please do show appreciation of the stories with the Zoom clap, however you like to do that. And again, use the chat function on the side. We haven't decided when the next show is going to be, but we'll announce it in all the regular channels. If you're finding you're not getting the information well enough, please do let us know. Either Niharika Agarwal, myself, a personal story swap WhatsApp group, wherever we've found you in the first place. Welcome to Mike Rust, Salmai Nguyen, Ramanja Kumar, David Thompson, Avita, whose family name I don't know, and Janina Smith for the evening, or the morning, or the daytime, or whatever it is that you are. It's wonderful to have you here. And we're going to start off today. This is recorded, and you will be able to send the recording to people to watch later on. But we're going to get started with Mike Rust. If you're ready, Mike, with your story.
I am, yes, I'm here. So we might as well get started. So we've just had the Storytelling Festival in Much Wenlock, and it finished on a Sunday, and it all went very well. And everybody goes home then. Monday morning, everybody's gone home, apart from one storyteller. Now, Jaspina has come over from Syros in Greece, and she's arranged to stay with us. And on the Monday evening, she goes over to stay with Amy Douglas, some of you who will know. Now, Amy, this is a typical English thing. Her accommodation is in a garden. It's called the Shed. Now, for you and I, a shed is a shed. For Amy, this is basically a library. And it's got all the things you can, and it's a spare room. And so Jaspina's going to stay there for the Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Friday, she's doing Amy's club. Saturday, she travels back home. So Amy's fine to be the host, but on the Wednesday, she had her work to do, and she contacted me a couple of weeks before the festival and said she's going to be just by herself in the shed in Bishop's Castle all by herself. I said, don't matter, I'll go and fetch her. So I picked her up and I took her down to the delightful place called Ludlow. Ludlow is a quintessentially medieval English town. It goes back to the Romans and the Saxons and the Vikings, and it's got all the things that anybody who's not been into the UK before. And if you're ever in Shropshire and I get a chance, I'd be very welcome to take you there. The medieval castle, the church, it's got a market on a Wednesday, and all that kind of stuff. And all things is going well. We have a very nice light lunch, at which point we seem to sort of ascertain that Jaspina's a bit of a foodie, and she enjoys a nice meal and everything else. Well, Ludlow's a bit famous for that, so that all went very well. So we get to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and my wife goes, because she'd come in a separate car, she was going to potter off home, and I was going to take Jaspina back up to Bishop's Castle. Now, it's the UK in autumn, and we've had a really lovely autumn this year. There's been a cloud top come in, and the colours have been absolutely beautiful. And so I'm not taking the main roads. I'm going up through the side roads, and all is good. And we go around the corner, and she actually looks at a cottage that is a gamekeeper's cottage that I know who lives in there. She said, that just looks like a hobbit house. And it's a thatched house and all that and everything. Now then, it's 4:30, 5 o'clock. Now, Lucy Wood knows what's going to happen next, because I sort of pop into the conversation. How about stopping at the pub and having a couple of pints? Amy's not going to get back to 6 o'clock, and Lucy's a teenager. She's only 13, and she will do her best, but she's going to go up and sit in the bedroom and play on a gaming machine. Oh, I'd love to, she said. We'll go to the Sun in Clun, says I, because the Sun in Clun is one of those famous quintessentially pubs, been there hundreds of years. Houseman wrote a poem about the place. Clunford and Clungunford, Clunton and Clungunford, Clunbury and Clun, four of the quietest places under the sun. And so they named the pub the Sun. It's been there hundreds of years. So we go in there, and it's a very typical place on a Wednesday evening. It's about 5 o'clock. And we sat down there, and she has half a pint of beer. I'm having a pint. Then some of my pals turn up. Well, Dean came in, Bear came in, Reese came in. They said, "What the hell are you doing here, Russ?" And they all come piling in. And now Yaspina speaks 5 languages. I'm not sure she spoke the language that we're talking now. So we all drop into Broad Shropshire, and we talk about interesting things like tractors and cricket. And she's absolutely sort of doing her best and smiling. And I suddenly realised when these people come in with this great big Italian bulldog, and we all start talking about dogs, and she's got dogs, and all is quiet and fair, and all is good. And we decide that we're going to be peckish, have something to eat. Now, Rachel hasn't found out yet, and I'm sure I'm going to do the same to Lucy, because I know how to treat a lady properly. A gentle English lady, I know how to treat one properly. So we all decide to have a pickled egg and a packet of crisps and a bag of scratchings. Now, some of you are looking at me completely blank, and will explain all to you another time. But you get a pickled egg and you put it in the bag of crisps, and scratchings are something to do with pork. And we all sat round there, and like I said, Yaspina, she looks at this and she looks at the dog, and she looks at us and she thinks that this is a joke. She really did think we were trying to pull one over on her and everything else. And the only way I can express her facial attitude at the time, and looked at it, is this: if a painting paints 1,000 words, her face was 2,000 words in 5 different languages, all expletives. And everyone said, "Shit, I've got to eat this." And she looked at it, and we were all eating ours, and she actually closed her eyes. And I can absolutely guarantee 100%, and she'll listen to this at one point when someone tells her what I've done. She closed her eyes and took a bite out of half a pickled egg, and she had a bit of scratching. And then she looked at the dog and she put them on the floor, and the dog ate a lot. And we're all sort of looking at her thinking, well, we forgot she was Greek. Her English was that good, we forgot she was Greek. And she, "Are you okay?" She said, "I'm fine." She picked up half a pint of Guinness, and she had a swallow of it, and she put it down. And I thought the best thing to do was to pop her back to Bishop's Castle. So I popped her back to Bishop's Castle. I saw her that Friday, and she was a gentlewoman enough not to mention this particular innocent incident in front of the whole audience of who she as I walked into the room. And I said goodbye, and I will see you again at some point in the future. But I thought I'd just share that with you to get you started today. So this story is a personal story. It's not quite a week old or so yet. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Mike. That sounds delightful, which is not really the D word that I was thinking of when you were telling it. Even though I live in Hong Kong, we eat 1,000-year-old eggs, and a lot of people think they're kind of gross. The pickled egg has never been on my agenda of things that I have enjoyed.
You haven't lived
sadly.
enough yet. You haven't lived enough yet. You need to get out.
I might never live enough for that. However, thank you for the story. That was really, really lovely. And we are short a Salmai at the moment, and I will put her onto the bottom of the list. But if Ramendra, you're okay to speak
Salmai
next.
has just joined.
Excellent. Welcome, Salmai. We're going to put you on in a couple of minutes to give you a little bit of time to relax, okay? We've just had our first story, so we're going to put you on in a minute or two. Not yet. We'll just move you down the list, okay? Give you a bit of time to settle into the Zoom call. It's all good. Okay,
Sorry
so we're going.
late. My kids were in crisis mode because they refused to leave the home with Papa. Well, they're still here.
I thought it might be something like that, but that's totally fine. I won't make you go on right away. We'll give you a couple of minutes, okay?
Thank you
Instead, we're
so
going to
much.
hear Ramendra. So if I get you to turn your sound off, Salma, and Ramendra, if you could turn yours on. This is Ramendra Kumar. He's an award-winning author. He's got 52, count them, 52. It's a lot of numbers. Published books, performance storyteller, and performance speaker, and an inspirational storyteller. So welcome, Ramendra. Looking forward to hearing your story again.
Thank you. The date was November 30th, 2021. The time was 12 o'clock. My family and I, my family comprising my beautiful, gorgeous wife, Madhavi, my pretty daughter, Ankita, and my son, Aniket, we were sitting in front of the doctor who had a look at a couple of scans, some blood reports, and he declared absolutely poker-faced, "Mr. Ramendra Kumar, you've got colon cancer." I stumbled out of his chamber. We went to the hospital canteen and I simply cut loose. I've had a very scarred, chaotic childhood. I'm a suicide survivor at the age of 15. When I was 16, my parents divorced. I suffer from a clutch of very serious ailments, one of which is brittle diabetes, in which the sugar levels move from one extreme, like my wife's mood, to the other extreme on the same day. To manage this condition, I'm fitted with an insulin pump. I also had a tryst with a very crazy kind of disease called hemangioma, in which there was a polyp growing near my vocal cords and I was losing my voice. My wife was ecstatic that what she couldn't achieve then in 27 years of our married life, hemangioma had managed to do that in 27 days. But the condition was serious. I was rushed to another city, another hospital, and a rather critical surgery was performed. I managed all this, but now, when I was thinking that there is a light, there is light at the end of the tunnel, I was slammed by this deadly scourge, the big C, the emperor of all maladies, cancer. So my first surgery happened sometime in March, on March 18th, where I was decolonized. My colon was removed. I was back home within 3-4 days, and I was online at a big time marquee storytelling festival. The doctors were very, very happy with my progress, and they decided to reconnect, meaning that my small intestine, which had been brought out, would again be connected with my rectum. But this surgery, which was supposed to be a minor one when compared to the early one, went completely haywire. And on April 16th, I suffered a septic shock. The probability of surviving a septic shock is only 30%. The doctors had given up on me. They asked my family to visit me in the ICU for what was possibly the last time. As my family entered, I was lying on the table, completely knocked out. My hands and feet had turned cold and blue. They were all bloated. I was on a ventilator. My blood pressure had plummeted to 55/35, and despite the strongest medicines known to doctors anywhere, it was not going up. At that stage, God knows what happened to my daughter. She placed her palm on my forehead and started speaking to me. She said, I came to know of this obviously later. She started talking to me and she said, Papa, you can't do this. You can't go away like this. You have always been the strongest. You have fought the toughest of odds with your mantra of battling every tumor with humor. You have always told us it's the mind over the matter, it's the mind over the body, and now it's time for you to prove it. My son, the most pragmatic one in the family, said, "Have you lost it, Ankita? He can't hear you." Ankita said, "I don't care." And she continued talking to me. "You've got so many friends, you've got followers, you've got so many fans. I have only 5 ceiling fans at home." But she continued talking to me. Said, "I love you. Everybody loves you, and I love you the most, and I will not allow you to just go away like this." Would you believe it? As she continued talking, the blood pressure, which had stagnated or plummeted up at 55, started going up little by little by little. As the other two, my wife and my son, saw this ascent in blood pressure, they also started cheering. Now it was like a scene from a typical Bollywood masala movie where the hero, in this case the comedian, is lying on the stretcher and the family is all around praying for a miracle, uh, praying for a miracle which on in real life always happens. But friends, this was not real life, it was real life. But actually the blood pressure was ascending, and every ascent of the blood pressure, my family was now cheering me on. And when the blood pressure stabilized at 117, the doctors came in and asked my family to move out. They performed the surgery, and I was brought back from the kingdom of the death to the land of the living. Later, when I asked the doctors, most allopathy doctors were rather skeptical. They were not willing to say anything. But the head of psychiatry in the biggest hospital in Bengaluru, where I stay, he told me that there was some energy, there was some connect between you and your daughter. And that energy, that connect, I can't give a name to it, but that brought you back from the land of the death to the kingdom of the living. I'm an engineer, and I have always been extremely, what should I say, spot on about science. Science is everything. Science has all the results, gives all the clues. But that day, now I realize that there is something beyond science, and that possibly that energy, that connect, that power, that faith saved my life. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was quite the story. This is the second time I've heard it because we talked about it a little bit beforehand, and it's still just as powerful the second time around. So it's a lot of stuff. Oh, thank you very much, Ramendra, for being here and continuing to be here, and and for telling us that story. I really appreciate it. That's fantastic. Salmai, would you like to tell your story next, or would you like a little bit more time? Yeah, I got. Are you okay to tell your story next, Salmai?
Sure, sure.
Okay, just a little introduction. Salmai is also somebody that we met in Hong Kong Stories. She used to live in Hong Kong, and now she lives in Montreal. So please welcome Salmai.
My apologies in advance. Okay, I haven't learned my text yet. Life took over this week, but I'll do my best. So this is the story of when my son was born. Okay. Day 1. Our son Olivier was born in Hong Kong in 2019. A lot happened within 12 hours. There were 9 hours of labor, 2 hours of unsuccessful pushing because baby was in back-to-back position. The nurses were getting worried because the umbilical cord was around his neck, but he was just stuck there. So the doctor did an episiotomy, and they sucked Olivier out from the head. That's what we call vacuum extraction. Then they stitched the episiotomy wound back. Thank goodness for my husband, Etienne. He was there all along, holding my hand, being calm. And when Olivier came out, he was blue. Etienne didn't get to cut the umbilical cord. The doctor had to proceed quickly, and we watched as our baby was rushed out of the room. But you know what? All of that is forgotten now. I can feel Olivier's weight on my belly instead of inside it now. It was all warm. all curled up in my arms, and his hair was still wet, his eyes were still closed. His face is starting to become rosy. The nurses wheel us into the postnatal ward, and I feel like I am floating. Now, in our prenatal classes, they told us there's a word for that feeling, oxytocin. Now, when a woman's body, during labor, a woman's body releases a hormone called oxytocin, so that when the baby is born, the mother is predisposed to feel love and care and attachment towards her baby. Okay, so that's why I look at this tiny, wrinkly, slimy thing, and I think he's the most precious, beautiful baby in the world. Now, another thing they said during prenatal classes was how important it is to breastfeed your baby on demand. The World Health Organization recommends that mothers exclusively breastfeed their babies for 6 months and then continue breastfeeding until the baby is 2 years old, because that is the healthiest option. It gives your babies all the nutrients it needs and gives them a stronger immune system. And so as soon as Olivier opens his eyes and starts to sniff around, I latch him onto my breast and I say to myself, motherhood, I got this. Day 2. Actually, I don't know when day 2 started. I haven't slept all night. The nurses had warned me that since my son was born by vacuum extraction, he might be a little grumpy. Well, I found out that night that a grumpy baby means a baby that wakes up and cries as soon as you put him down. Now, I need you to visualize the postnatal ward. Okay? It is divided into dormitories, and each dormitory had 6 beds separated by curtains. Okay? So mother and baby don't have private rooms because space in Hong Kong is a luxury. Okay? Now watch me put down my little Olivier into the crib, and then, and right away, 5 other echoes as Olivier just wakes up, 5 other babies, and 5 other mothers. And I can feel them glaring at me through the curtains. Another detail worth mentioning. Etienne could not stay with us throughout the night. There was not enough space in the dormitory, so Papa's had 2 visiting hours, 1 hour at noon, 1 hour at 6 p.m. Otherwise, you're on your own, Mama. At 7 p.m. sharp, Etienne had to leave. It broke his heart, but that's how it is. So what did I do? I held Olivier on my chest all night and kept my eyes open as wide as I could because I was terrified that if I dozed off, I would drop him. Day 3. We were going to be discharged from the hospital. Finally. I was so excited to go home. My husband will be able to help me all day and all night. And before letting us go, the doctor asked me, did you have a poop yet? Well, me? I have been busy counting how many poops my baby was having. I had to note what color, what texture. No one had mentioned that I needed to pay attention to my poop as well. Well, no, I have not pooped. Well, the doctor said, oh, then I will prescribe you this laxative syrup. Make sure you eat lots of fruits and vegetables, dragon fruit, bananas, drink prune juice, and drink lots and lots of water. Lots of water? Oops, I have been doing the exact opposite. You see, I do things by the book because I pride myself in doing everything well as expected of me. So when I received the hospital's list, I took out my pen and I diligently put check marks next to every item as I put them into the hospital bag. And that list said a cup. So I chose what I thought was the optimal cup. Stainless steel, light, small, would fit easily into my hospital bag, will not take up too much space. Well, I discovered after giving birth that to fill my cup, I needed to walk to the reception, so out of the dormitory towards the reception where there was a pitcher. Now remember, no husband, Um, so no husband, baby crying. You have to get out of the bed. You have the stitches, the pads, the hospital gown. No, 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 no. So throughout the night, I stayed put and I rationed my water. I held my baby close and I sipped my cup. Well, that list should have said at least a water bottle if I was expected to drink lots and lots of water. Anyway, it's okay. I have received new, clear instructions. I like that. As soon as we get home, Etienne rushes to the supermarket to buy dragon fruits, bananas, prune juice. I sit down on the sofa, latch my baby onto my breast. All will be well. Except all was not well. By the end of the day, I was having engorgement. That's when your baby is not drinking in the right position. So he is sucking and stimulating your breast to produce milk, but the milk can't go out. So your breasts become so full of milk, they become huge and hard, and they hurt. And that makes it even more difficult for the baby to suck, so he sucks harder, thus producing more milk production. You get the idea. Things were not going well. Okay. Olivier was kicking, biting. His little fists were flailing. He was becoming a very grumpy baby. And I sure was becoming a grumpy mama. Oxytocin levels, quickly decreasing. I was told to feed on demand. But what if my baby was demanding all night long? It meant sitting all night long on my stitches with an engorgement problem that was getting bigger and bigger. So Etienne was up all night as well, but what could he do? So when the sun rose on day 4, I asked for a midwife's home visit ASAP. And she confirmed that Olivier was indeed losing weight. He was not having enough milk. See, I have failed at my first job as a mother. I was supposed to breastfeed my baby for 2 years. I couldn't even manage 4 days. Guilt began right there. Now, the midwife gave my husband a syringe with a tube to feed Olivier. That way he wouldn't get too accustomed to a bottle's nipple and not get back to mine. I watched Olivier gulp down the baby formula that Etienne gave him. I heard his contented burp, and then he fell immediately asleep in his daddy's arms. Yes, there was guilt, but I also felt so relieved. Thank God for Papa. Before the midwife left, she asked, "Did you have a poop yet?" I dutifully reported that I have been eating dragon fruits, bananas. Bananas? She asked. But isn't that the opposite of what you want? Okay, so by now you must be pretty constipated. It's been 4 days. There's a lot in there. So when you go for a poop, you must hold a pad, a menstrual pad against your stitches so that when you push, your episiotomy wound doesn't open and break up the stitches. Wow, now a poop suddenly sounds really scary. Day 5 can be summarized as dragon fruits, squash, prune juice, no bananas. Day 6. I went for my routine checkup at the hospital. The nurse checked if my body was healing well. She seemed satisfied enough. Then at the end, she asked, "Did you have a poop yet?" No. Okay, this is getting urgent, she said. If you don't have a poop within the next 2 days, you must go to the emergencies. Wow, now I have a deadline to poop. Day 7. Olivier's asleep in my arms. I just breastfed him. He's full and content with my milk. Success, finally. I put him down in his crib. He doesn't cry, he doesn't wake up. Success again. I need to build on this momentum. It's now or never. Because I take my poop deadline very seriously. I do not want to go to the emergencies. Remember feeding on demand? Translation, I have to breastfeed every 2 hours or so. Now, if I go to the emergencies and I tell them at triage that I have constipation, how far up the waiting list do you think I will be? I will be stuck there for hours, if not days. Okay. During that time, Etienne can feed Olivier baby formula. They'll be fine. But my milk production is going to dwindle. And I had worked so hard, so painfully hard to get my milk production up. I can't lose it now. So the other option is to bring my 1-week-old baby to the emergencies. But who knows what virus he'll catch there just because his mama cannot poop. No, I shall poop. So I close the washroom door. I sit down, pad ready. But I can't. I just can't. And I hear at the back of my head the midwife's voice saying, push. And I couldn't push our baby out. And now, same thing with this poop baby. And I'm saying to myself, relax, relax, and you can do this. And that's when Olivier wakes up from his nap. Why already? And I just cry. No more oxytocin left. My baby is crying to be held, to be fed, to be comforted, and I cannot care less. I can't do this motherhood thing anymore. Etienne is standing at the door of the washroom. He is the one rocking our wailing baby in his arms. He's watching me cry on the toilet seat, and he says, it's going to be okay. We'll find a way. We will be okay. And you know what? He was right. It was going to be okay. He was the one to suggest I go to a private clinic to get it over as soon as possible. So I found myself in front of a doctor who gently explained to me what an enema was. I remember a mad dash to the end of the hallway thinking, why on earth did they design washrooms to be so far away when doctors here perform enemas? I remember a very kind receptionist who went around looking for a spare pair of pants so I could go home. I remember walking out of that clinic in extra large men's shorts, feeling so light. For the first time since I was wheeled into the postnatal ward, I am floating. Oxytocin surges again, and I cannot wait to go back to my boys, to my little Olivier, and to Etienne, who was there for me all along. They're waiting for me, and I'm coming home. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Salma. Two stories where we're not totally sure where people are going to live in a row here. I'm glad that Mike's, was only pickled onions. We were fairly certain he was going to live through it. Also, I've never had children and I was feeling guilty about not being able to breastfeed. It's just one of those things. Anyways, thank you very much, Salma, for that. Thank you for coming and telling your story with this group. And again, it's nice to hear your voice again, your stories again. That was, like I said, 2 stories in a row that we're not sure if the storyteller's going to survive by the end of it, even though they're the ones telling the story. Fantastic, guys. So good. Next up, we have David Thompson. David, are you ready to tell your story? Ignore Babasi.
I'm ready.
Okay, good. Yeah, Mike did include dead pigs, but it's not the same. And David Thompson, I don't know much about you, David, but I'm very excited about hearing your story.
Okay, cool. I could give you my pedigree if you want to hear it right now, but
It's
not
completely
worth
up to
it.
you.
Yeah, well, I've been storytelling for over 50 years, and I'm quite popular in higher education classrooms, meaning, and I'm talking about senior level high school, senior levels and stuff, all the way up, all the way through graduate school. I come in and I tell stories related to their curriculum, what the class is, you know, and things like that. And they really, really enjoy it. Also, it gives the professor a day off. But anyway, the story I'm going to tell you today is real. It really happened. I swear on my mama's grave. It happened, let me tell you. I'm going to be telling it in the dialect that I grew up in, because I don't normally sound this way if I'm careful. So I'm going to tell it like this. You see, you hear it? You hear the difference? I'm so glad you did. Well, it turns out in 1978, I was accepted, honey. I tell you, I was accepted as a postgraduate student working on a doctorate at Leningrad State University in the old Leningrad Soviet Union. You remember the Soviet Union? Oh, it was incredible. So I got there, beautiful city, gorgeous, gorgeous city, wonderful people. But remember, I am an American, a U.S. American. And they were probably doing their very best, you know, to be really nice. We're good people, blah, 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 blah. Well, anyway, there were two other U.S. American grad students there. So we hung out together, you know, like, what is this crazy place? However, things went really, really well. So this is an adventure the three of us had, a winter break, 1980, that's January 1980, in Moscow. Now, it was winter break from Leningrad State University. People were going home, you know, they were going on trips and things like this. So the three of us U.S. American students said, let's take a trip down to Moscow. We've always heard so much about it. We've seen the pictures and all this other good stuff. And while we're there, we're going to the Kremlin. Oh, by the way, people, did you know that Kremlin means castle? And there are many big cities in what's now Belarus or whatever that have Kremlins, and it's not just the Kremlin we always see in Moscow. So anyhow, we're down there in Moscow. We're having a blast, just having a good old time, talking to people who didn't know who we were and thought we were strange people anyway. And then we decided, let's go and have a tour of the Kremlin. Okay. So we all get there, we pay our kopecks to get in, and they tell us when the English tour is going to happen, and to check your shoes and put on these soft slippers because they're all parquet floors. And my mama would have been, you know, fit out of heaven if we came in on dirty boots walking on parquet floors. So no problem. We checked our shoes. We paid our, you know, our shoe rent. We got a little ticket so we know whose shoes is who. And we put on carpet shoes. Oh, anyhow, I tell you, we were waiting in the main, gorgeous place on the inside. Lord, it's just beautiful, just totally beautiful. And we were waiting around. It was going to be about 45 minutes before the English tour was going to happen. So we were very respectful. We saw the guards, you know, the Soviet guards and all this other good stuff. And we looked and we talked and said, well, what can we do for the next 45 minutes? Now, I'm going to ask y'all a question. Do you remember the old dance tune, Hustle? And there was line dancing going on. So we got this thought. Here we are in the Kremlin, waiting for an English tour. Let's dance. So the three of us lined up, and we went and we were hustling the Kremlin right there, I tell you. And it was loads of fun. A Polish tour group, I think they was Polish, came by and they just looked at us like, what the hell is this? And we're having a grand old time. The Soviet guards were doing their absolute best not to smile. Absolute best to remain, you know, really solemn. But you could see the corners of their mouth starting to twitch up. And one of them, I tell you, friends, because I don't know you, but you my friends anyway, I tell you, even one of the guards, his foot started tapping. Here comes another tour group. I think they were Chinese, I'm not certain. And they were looking at us, and they started smiling. And we was just dancing away, having a grand old time. And soon, a Soviet official arrives. He comes down, he talks to the guards. And you know what happened then? Guess what? The two guards came over and we taught them how to do the hustle, how to do that line dance. And we was having such a good time. And then here comes the English tour. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, David. Finally, we have a storyteller in Hong Kong who tells stories about being a translator for on the Russian side. So she lived in Moscow and she was a translator. So she tells stories from the other side of that, which somehow we have to get you guys in the same room telling stories together. So funny.
Well, send me a
Just to
plane
see.
ticket and I'll be there.
Right? Or send her one or the other.
Yeah, well, we can meet in California.
Right? That
Thank
was
you.
lovely. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful musical interlude, and I'll think of you whenever I hear that little ditty. Also, thank you for using your natural accent. It's a nice one to hear. I don't hear that one very much. So next storyteller that we have coming up is Evita, if you're ready. Evita H, whose last name I still don't know. It's not important. We just have to make sure that your sound's working. It's not working just yet. In the meantime,
Here
talk
we
amongst
go.
yourselves.
Tiny
There
phone,
we go.
as you know.
I
Us
fully
older
understand. Did you
ladies.
notice? Did you notice I changed from my bifocals to my reading glasses halfway through, so I
Yeah.
didn't have to look at everybody like that? The struggle is real here, people. The struggle is real. Please, Evita.
All right, I am going to take you somewhere totally different. I am going to take you back to when I was a little girl and then a slightly not so little girl. Children are innocents. They have guardian angels. Now remember the word guardian. You'll be tested on that a bit later. So let's go all the way to the Swiss Alps, the high mountains, the cheese and the chocolate and the snow caps, where the weather can be absolutely gorgeous in summer, but it can be totally unpredictable. You'll find out why. Now, my papa, apart from being a very naughty man, and as Baba C would say, that's another story, he was an adventurer. He was an outdoor man. He was a mountain guide and a ski instructor. And in summer, he also worked outdoors. He was also a rather absent dad. So if we ever got to do something with him, it was memorable because it was far and few between. So my dad loved to go climbing, like proper mountain climbing, with his friends on weekends, and imagine the joy when we were allowed to go along with Mum. There was a tent pitched in a field of cows, and my brother and I got to squabble over that one plate that is different to all the others. Now they were planning for the next day. Dad and his friends would go up to the higher hut, the Gorshina hut, and do their climbing, and then come back and meet us on the middle hut after lunch. Mom, my brother and I, we're about 6 and 4, were to walk to the middle hut and meet them there. It was an easy-ish hike. Oh, we're Swiss children, we're semi-goats, you know. So the next morning, we set off after breakfast and we start walking. It is a glorious day. The bells of the cows are ringing and we're walking through this tiny little forest, and then we come above the tree line. Are we there yet, Mum? Keep walking, Mummy says. And we keep walking, and suddenly a little breeze fluffs our hair up a bit. Well, this can happen. Nothing to do with us. But then the breeze gets stronger, and unpredictable as the weather is in the days before mobile phones, big dark clouds come. The wind picks up, the wind whooshes, and then, oh no, you don't want this to happen to you in the mountains. Thunder and lightning. Now, Dad had always told us, make sure when there's a thunderstorm in the mountains, David is nodding, in the mountains, you are not the highest thing up there. Do not hide under any tree if there are any, and throw away any metal you've got on your body. But Mum said, no, we've just got to push on. We've got to push on. Well, the thunder moved on, but in came the fog. Thick, white fog. And the people in the Americas probably know what a whiteout is. It is blizzardy. It is so white that as an adult, you probably can't see the end of your hand. You do not know what's up. You do not know what's down. So when you walk or ski or anything, it feels really strange. Now, Mum is trying to be brave and she's looking scared. We sort of look around and sort of semi-glee because it's funny falling over when you don't know, what is up and what is down. But Mum says, we've got to keep going. We've got to keep going. Now the blizzard's really starting. So the wind is back and it's blowing. The snow is going sideways. We are scared too now. And Mum says, we've got to keep going. Just stop. Just stop. She takes a deep breath and says, I think I know where we are. Not that we could see anything but white. We need to go left. And that's when it started, a very strange feeling in the pit of my stomach. No, Mum, I said. No. She goes, no, come on. She pulls my hand and my brother's hand. I said, no, wait. And I looked at my little brother and I said, remember Oma, when she goes to church, she brings us home these little pictures of little children praying to the angels? I think we should pray to the angels too. So imagine, total whiteout, Swiss Alps, howling wind, crying mother, 2 little children earnestly kneeling down and praying. We prayed, we didn't know what to say. We said, dear angels, please help us, please. Thank you. We didn't say amen because we didn't have that concept. And would you believe, the wind stopped, the wind dropped, and probably about 20 meters ahead of us, the fog lifted ever so slightly and it made an arch. And through that arch, I went, there, I saw a building. There, Mummy, this way. Mum grabbed our 2 hands and we ran. Then, opposite to what they say in stories and quests, I looked over my shoulder, I looked back. The arch was gone, but we heard voices. We ran and there was a hut. The door opened and there was my dad. Between relief and crossness, because we had ended up on the higher hut. We had wandered the wrong way for so long, but we were safe. We went inside and we drank hot chocolate. And to us, we're children, the adventure was over. And I just sort of flippantly said, well, the angels saved us, we prayed. When the weather had gone, Dad and his friends started walking down with us. And then we came to the spot where I was sure we had prayed. Had we gone left, my friends, that my mum wanted to, before I got that feeling in the pit of my stomach, my father showed us, we would have fallen to our deaths. And in Switzerland, we have a saying, I jumped off death's shovel. And I did. Did it make me reckless? Not physically, but in other ways, yes, it did. But on the way back down, I sort of made a little promise. This 6-year-old kid makes a promise that this was really special. Angels exist. I have guardian angels, but I also need to make sure to keep other people safe. Now, the privileged and entitled amongst people often say, I have rescue issues. That's probably where they came from. Now we're going to just forward to class 6. Angels are still around. They saved me a few times, but these are many other stories. We are in class 6 and I was not a friend of school. But year 6, I had a favorite teacher. His name was Laddie, which means leather because he had a bald head that was very shiny. He was fun. He was exciting. He was a good teacher. It was the only year I actually liked school. But one morning, Laddie came into the classroom. He did not have a good day. And we happened to have a few kids in our class that were guest workers, basically the slaves that came to Europe to do the dirty work. And Mehmed was a bit slow in his language, but generally. And Laddie was so rude to him. You know, he said, "Ah, what have you got between your ears? Go and do this and that." And I got that feeling again in the pit of my stomach. Something's not right. This is not okay. Mehmet sat down with his head all red. He hadn't understood quite what was going on, but the teacher was very cross with him. And my stomach was churning. I didn't know what to do. Should I say something? Recess came. And as Laddie walked out to have his morning coffee, I gathered my friends around me and said, "Hey guys, we need to do something. The way he just spoke to our classmate, that's just not okay. Should we say something? Oh, I have a good idea. Let's do a sit-in strike." Because just last week I'd been told about the people in America and in the big cities in Switzerland doing sit-ins and protesting. I said, we are going to sit on the floor, and when Laddie comes back, we're going to ask him to apologize to Mehmed for having been so rude and mean to him. Some of the kids looked at me and just shook their heads because, "Oh, you and your ideas, they're not always that good, you know." Well, here comes Laddie back in the classroom. "What's going on here?" he said. Well, immediately half of the kids sat back in their chairs. Some of my friends looked at me for guidance. I don't know what. What is going on? Now, inside, my dear friends, to get back to say a story, there was poop. You know the feeling when you're actually quite scared. But I put on a very brave face. And I looked at the teacher and I said, "Mr. Rasher, we have something to tell you. We are officially staging a sit-in and a protest because you have been very unkind to Mehmed. We demand you apologize to him and never do it again." Now, two of my friends immediately slunk off and sat down. They didn't want any party of this. That hadn't been rehearsed, had it? Laddie said, "Is that so?" Now, my feeling went lower in my belly and I went, "Oh my God," inside. But I put on a face and said, "Yes, sir, that is so." And he sat down and looked at us and he said, "You know something? I'm really, really proud of you kids. You stood up for a classmate. That is very important. Yes, indeed, I was very short and quite unfair to Mehmed. Mehmed, I apologize." And then my crazy brain couldn't leave well alone. No, what did I do? I said, "Well, Mr. Rasher, that was very good, but I'd like to apologize for you to apologize in front of the whole assembly." "What are you doing?" I said to myself. "Is that so?" said Mr. Rasher. And it was, my friends. Believe it or not, during the next assembly where all the classes were together, from kindergarten right up to year 10, Mr. Rasher, Laddie, stood up. And to this day, I respect him for not singling me or anyone out. "This week," he said, "community, something happened in my classroom. My students stood up for a classmate and a friend. I had said something wrong. They didn't just let it go. They stood up for him and they set me straight. I have learned something that day, and I do hope from the bottom of my heart that all of you assembled here will remember to never be quiet when you see something wrong." And that's when the rebel was born. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gosh, there's a lot of close encounters and near-death experiences here. It's a bit of a roller coaster, kind of wild. But thank you so much, Avita, for sharing that with us. And yes, as a North American, I do know what a whiteout is, though I'm sure that it's maybe not as clear for some of our other guests listening here tonight. We have one more storyteller to hear tonight, and that is going to be Janita. Now, Janita is another storyteller from Hong Kong Stories. That's where we met, in Hong Kong, and she has a wonderful story to tell you to close out our night. So please welcome Janita. Is you sound all right there, Janita?
Possibly.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, Janita.
Thank you. Now, I'm sure we've all been here when we were kids. You're standing by the roadside and you tip forward to cross, and a hand comes completely out of nowhere and pulls you back. And that hand, more than likely, belongs to your mother, right? So, I was a bit surprised when 2 weeks ago, I'm just about to cross the road, when out of nowhere, a hand grabs mine and pulls me back onto the pavement. And that hand still belonged to my mother. I mean, surely it should be the other way round by now, right? She is 86 and I am 60, for God's sakes. She's the one with the swollen knee and dodgy hip, whereas a month ago, I had just completed a 10K race. I should be the one taking her arm, leading her across. But I guess you never stop being a parent. But last year, my stepfather Tom died suddenly. And as I stepped in to help Mum find her feet again, I also found myself sinking into those shifting sands of our parent-child relationship. Now, she cooks dinner whilst I install all the apps needed to pay her bills onto my phone. She rummages through her cupboards to find me a spare electric blanket, whilst I tax her car online because she can't work her email for two-factor authentication. Amazon asked me if I'd like home adaptation devices for the elderly because my recent purchase history has made the algorithm think I'm in my 80s. And now it's me, not Tom, who accompanies her on weekend breaks to the seaside. And it's in a coastal town called Weymouth that she's taken to grabbing my hand once again when we cross the road to the once majestic Prince Regent Hotel. It's the sort of place that in its heyday wealthy guests would arrive by horse and carriage, pass beneath the glittering chandeliers and perhaps dance a waltz to the music of the hotel's resident orchestra. Now it caters for retired couples bussed in from Birmingham for a very reasonably priced all-inclusive stay. A holiday popular with my mum and Tom. The chandeliers are now a little dusty and the orchestra has been displaced by a husband and wife singing duo called Retro, who promise 5 decades of great music. I'm not holding my breath. And I'm not in the greatest of moods either because last night I hardly slept for the noises my mum makes when she's sleeping. She is totally unaware, especially because she's taken out both hearing aids. Whereas I have to put in headphones and listen to a stream of podcasts. And sometimes that isn't even enough to drown out the noises. And I have to cover my face with the pillow with my arms above my head, squeezing it over my ears. In the morning, she's as bright as a button. Did you sleep all right? I don't know why she asks. Her hearing aids are still on the side table, so I know she can't hear my answer. When the hearing aids are back in, I tell her, no, I didn't get much sleep. Was I snoring again? Well, actually, it wasn't so much snoring this time, but sort of irregular gasping noises when you breathe. If you could just stop breathing, she asks. Well, yes, I say, that might help. Luckily, we both laugh. Retro is blasting out some random hits from the 50s and I'm sent off to get the drinks and bingo tickets. It's not really how I'd imagined I'd be spending my weekends as a grown-up. The place is packed with retired people who retired 20 years ago. Jailhouse Rock is very popular. I wonder what Retro would play when I'm 86 and succumb to a weekend coastal mini break. I can't see them turning their hands to Moby or Eminem. By the time I get back to our table, they've moved on to the 70s and a quiz sheet has been left for us to fill in. Neither of us are particularly good at quizzes, but there is one we both know. The capital of Australia. A lot of people think it's Sydney, but we know it's Canberra because we lived in Australia when I was a child. We lived in a suburb of a coastal town called Wollongong. Mum used to work in the ticket office of the outdoor swimming pool by the beach. And when I was 4 years old, she'd let me play in the paddling pool in a striped cosy and water wings. And with the ticket office door open, she could just keep an eye on me. But one day, she must have been distracted by counting out some change or probably trouble with the tickets, because she hadn't noticed that a man around his mid-30s had taken my hand and was leading me out of the pool towards the road where he said he would be buying me some sweets. We were on the outer side of the turnstile gate when, out of nowhere, a hand pulled me back. A hand belonging to my mum, who then went bonkers shouting at the man who walked off in the direction of the car park. She called over her boss and the police were called, but the police never came. And no one ever contacted us about the incident. That same summer, at a beach just 5 miles down the road from the swimming pool, 3-year-old Cheryl Grimmer disappeared at a nearby beach called Fairy Meadow. She'd gone into the shower block, perhaps to wash off some sand, whilst her older brother waited outside. He never saw her come out. No one ever saw her come out. No one ever saw her again. We didn't win the quiz. Neither did we win the bingo. But as we leave the hotel and start to cross the road, I'm grateful that my mother's hand comes out of nowhere to keep me safe. Not so hot about the snoring, though. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Thank you, Janita. It's wonderful to hear your stories again as well. Oh my goodness, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your stories. It's been really, really wonderful to hear some of those voices again. I've got 6 things that have come out of this. So I've got like a little list of what I've learned tonight. Hold your mom's hand, even if she snores. Don't go mountain climbing in a storm. Dance wherever you can. Be grateful for every poop. Treasure your family because they might save your life. And don't let Mike Russ do the food order. So I feel like I have learned so much from this evening and I've really enjoyed the stories. If anybody wants to stay around for another 5 or so minutes, I'm going to turn the recording off and we can just have a little chat if you want to. I'm sure there's Babasi has had to have his sound off this whole time. So I'm sure he's desperate to say something. So I'm just going to turn the record off. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining us, everybody. And welcome to share these with all of your friends. Recording has stopped, so you're allowed to chat however you like now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Contrary to popular belief, I do know how to be quiet.
And I'm Queen Margaret of Denmark.
Hi, Queen!
Oh, she's looking well.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
little hormone change here, you know.
she's got a very luxurious beard.
So anyway, could I just ask Van Mandrenda, if that's how you pronounce it, how are you now, sir? Are you better now?
Yeah,
I'm better now. I am better now. I have to go for a PET scan every year. It used to be 3 months, then 6 months. Now it's 1 year.
Right.
I've been cancer free for the last 3 years.
All
Gone back
right.
to my storytelling, dancing on stage, swimming, gymming. In October, I participated in a Mr. and Miss India Cancer Warrior, and I won the Mr. India Cancer Warrior crown.
Kudos,
So
kudos.
Well done.
yeah,
That's really
I
good.
walked the ramp. It was a fantastic experience walking the ramp and all. And most importantly, for the first time in our married life, my wife was impressed with my walk.
Good. And I'm going to
Oh,
ask
my
Mike
goodness.
Wood. Right, Mike, you've got to take Lucy for some pickled onion, a pickled egg, and a packet of crisps and some scratching.
Just recommended.
I
in the
had to
rest of the
look up
world.
scratch into what it is. Over here, we call them chicharrones.
I think the scratching was like I'm keen on the scratching. I wasn't keen on the pickled egg.
Oh, pickled eggs are wonderful, girl.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I will do as
Yeah,
I'm told, Mr. Rust. I
I'll
find this
see.
formula works very well.
Yeah, I'll see you Monday. Okay.
fantastic. It's so good to see everybody from all over the place. And once again, thanks Judita and Salmai for joining us. And thank you to Selena and Susan Ida for being in Canada. We've got Evita, where are you? Are you in Australia right now?
No, I'm still roaming.
Roaming.
So I am actually in Switzerland right now.
Oh, okay. Don't climb any mountains in storms,
No,
okay?
it's autumn now. Now it's, now a lot of the mountains will close down. So you can
Right.
only go if you go skiing or something like that. Yeah.
My
How do you
friend
close a
Harry,
mountain down?
you put a rope around it.
Yep. Baba
I knew
Steve,
you
they
would say that.
closed the mountain passes for driving up.
Okay.
There's a little
I better
there's a little
understand.
sign that you just flip down on
Yeah,
all of the
close.
mountains. They come pre-installed.
And the Swiss are, you just say you can't do that, and then they mostly don't.
So,
It's the tourists
Evita-
that think that doesn't go for them.
Evita and David, your stories reminded me of a childhood memory. They used to send me south for the summers. David, you might know something about that, but they used to send me south for the summer. South, though, was not as far south as probably my friends were, because children went south for the summer to help their families on the farms.
Yep.
My family knew I was too much of a city kid to send me that far south. But they used to send me to a little place called Waynesboro in Virginia.
I know
up in the
exactly where you're talking about.
which then is up in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I've sat on the porch on more than one occasion and watched it rain across the street.
Yeah, yeah.
And you could see the rain clouds and the rain just going up, like they were on tour. We'd go up and up the street, but only no rain where I was. And my Aunt would go, she would call me and say, "Coming out of the rain." I said, "It's not raining on this side of the street." She'd go, "Oh, okay." And
Love a
that's a
contrary
phenomenon I
child.
still remember. Say again?
Love a contrary child. Coming out of the rain, it's not raining here.
But it wasn't. It just used to amaze me watching. I mean, and we're not talking about shoom. The other side of the street would be absolutely drenched, but absolutely dry where I was sitting.
When I first moved to Hong Kong, well, the first time I came to Hong Kong, there was a typhoon, and I didn't really understand because I come from Canada and it wasn't snowing. So I didn't think it was dangerous.
Oh.
I've learned to respect them since then. But the other thing that really astounds me is when we get what we call a black rainstorm here. So that's like a really terrible rainstorm. It's like a whiteout, Evita. It's like a whiteout, but it's rain, which is a lot easier to move. But you can't see across the street because the rain is so heavy. Yes. We have typhoons and monsoons here, and it's just these short, heavy rainstorms, and they're pretty phenomenal. At least I've always been quite amazed by them. Coming from Canada and knowing what a whiteout is, the rainstorms were like, wow, there's a whiteout with rain.
You said we may not be doing this in November, so can I do a quick December plug? On December 26th, Stories for Children, I will be the featured storyteller, and I'll be doing my Kwanzaa story. And for those of you don't know what Kwanzaa is, tune in December 26th, and I will explain that to you, and we'll have a wonderful time. I guarantee everyone will have a good time, but if you ain't careful, you might learn something new.
All right, Boudreaux.
That's Southern dialect.
Baba C, can you make sure that you give us, hi Austin, late to the party, but he's there. Baba C, could you make sure that you put the short bio for that into the group chat as well with a link? And I'll forward it to other people
It'd
too.
be here or not. It's on.
It's on World Story. It's
Story-
on WSC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Well, we're just about to wind up here, and we've got two other storytellers. Baden, who was supposed to come and tell a story today, but has had to go and earn money instead.
Oh,
Somebody
man.
offered to pay him way more than we were paying.
Where's
Can
my
you
faint- Where's
believe?
my fainting couch? Oh my God.
Can you believe somebody's actually willing to pay me money to tell stories?
Miracles
Absolutely, I've
happen.
heard
Yeah,
your stories.
sure.
I'd pay you.
I've heard
And
a
then
rumor,
Baden-
Ben.
Austin.
I heard a
And we also
rumor.
have Austin here. Hi, Austin, who's also a Hong Kong storyteller. You've just missed the show, Austin, but we'll send you the link so you can rewatch it. Okay? We can't hear you. You're muted. No, he's not. Just don't look at me. No. Anyways, it's good to see your face and lovely to see you too, Baden. I'm glad you could make the very tail end here. And
Thanks. I'd love the link as well, please.
yes, I'll send it around to all of the groups that I send everything on. We were just saying that we probably won't have a show in November because our hosts are rather absurdly busy for those months. Niharika's going to climb some mountains again, probably. You know what she's like.
Mhm.
Please send me an invitation for the next one. I have
I
a
will do.
story I think I would like to share.
Great, that's good. I'm afraid I
Yeah,
have
thank-
to go, Rachel. So I'm
Fair
bye-bye.
enough,
See you.
Mike.
I
Thank
did
you
too.
so
Okay,
much.
nice to
It
see
was nice
Thank
everybody.
to
you,
see you.
everybody.
See you
Later,
again
Mike.
soon.
Yeah.
Be good
Bye.
to yourself.
Bye.
Lovely to
Thank
see
you,
you. Thank you for
everybody.
coming.
Later, Obi-Wan Baden. Baden-Wan Kenobi. If you ever hear
Fantastic.
Baden and I
Baba
going back
C,
and forth.
hey, Baba C. Watch
sir.
your mouth. Watch your mouth, boy.
Now, you're one of the few
Thanks,
people that can call
guys.
me boy. I want you to know
I
that.
know, because
Okay.
I'm from the South.
I'm also
all
gonna hand
right?
up. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
That was fun. Hey,
It
Lucy.
was good, wasn't it?
I know that's Mike.
And
but-
Lucy, you've got less hair than you did earlier on today.
Oh, I'm glad I got up
Teamwork
early.
makes
for
the
this.
dream work.
we are gonna go, I promise, so you don't have to pay any more attention to us.
Okay. Thanks, Wally. Good work.
Thanks, Waleed.
Thanks,
Thank you
Waleed.
so much. Thank you.
But can you send a link? Put a link in the chat, Wally.
We'll make sure the link goes through.
Yeah,
Thanks,
yeah.
guys. Austin, Janita, we'll speak to you again sometime soon. We're going to close this meeting. Maybe I'm going to send you a WhatsApp right now. It was nice to see you. Thank you, Waleed. Thank you.
I'm going to take my morning nap. See out.